tweyanzeege. Omanyi munnange omuti ogutaliiko bibala tebagukanyugira mayinja, naye omuti oguliko emboona bagukanyugira ebiti ebifunfugu ku lw'emboona eziriko. So tekyewuunyisa nti NUP buli omu gw'ayagala okulumba. Tetutuukiridde nnyo naye kyo kikulaga nti tulina bye tukola ebiri ku mulamwa tulemere ku nsonga ezo. Bano bajja sigala nga batagalatagala mu buli ngeri yonna. Bagezeeko okujja bannayuganda ku mulamwa nga bw'abadde atubuulira. Ensonga z'amafuta, bbeeyi y'amafuta yeekanamye. Twagala bannayuganda boogere ku ebyo kati yingiza propaganda, tudde ku ebyo NUP nga bannayuganda ogezaako bajja ku nsonga eri. Bannaye tuggule amaaso gaffe tubeere babuufu. Si weewaawo? When he's in Western Uganda, he's referred to as Musinguzi. When he's in the east, he's referred to as Ngobi. When he's in northern Uganda, he is referred to as... When he is in central here, he's referred to as Chagulanyi. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Webale ino baba. Bana asanga ere okufuna omukisa ondi ogogerako nimwe. Olwaleero nize Ngobi. Everywhere. NUP. Kamba kobere baba. Olwaleero ndi Ngobi. Ndi Musaada Musoga, ndi mwana weeruuka Musaada Mugwana Nfunta, mwana wa Bambeda. Kunaku olulala lwe najja nga ndi Munyoro, njaba nnyonnyola lwaki empako yange zaalaali. When I come as Luke Bara, I'll explain to you why I'm Obini. Or when I come as a Munyankole, I'll explain to you why I'm called Musinguzi. But it's important, ladies and gentlemen, much as we might be joking about the tribalism, it is a real cancer. A cancer that Museveni intends to use, just like he picked lessons from Obote. Museveni has been using tribalism from the word go. And because he has no point to make whatsoever, he has to trade the tribal narrative. It's very unfortunate that he uses the same victims to anchor his tribal narrative. Many times I watch with dismay aged men and women, those that we thought are reasonable, falling prey to that. I'll continue to encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to dismiss Museveni's tribalism with all the contempt that it deserves. We are a generation free of hate. We are a generation free of division. We are a generation free of tribal or religious sentiments. We are one. We are united by the pain that Museveni and his honchos have caused to us. And yes, we are united by the aspiration of a new Uganda, which we must achieve. And indeed, we'll go ahead and achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet today facing a nation in crisis. Our nation is in crisis, although there's every effort by those who rule over us to cover it up. And it explains the propaganda that is flying here and there. All of you, I'm confident, that have been affected by the soaring fuel prices. Transport for people and merchandise is on the rise. Prices of different things are on the rise because of the rise of the prices of fuel, and in many cases, the absence of it. I've been very well represented by the comrades that have spoken to us. Museveni did not build any reservoir, but even what he found, he either sold or destroyed or rendered useless. I'm informed that the reservoirs in Jinja can store up to 3 million liters of fuel. 30 million liters of fuel, but they're empty. And the regime is not concerned. Why? Because the higher the prices go, the more benefit and profit their bootlickers make. Because as you know, the economy is owned by the few, the powerful and mighty who are close to Museveni, either his relatives or hunger zone. That is where we are as a nation. Our nation is in crisis, ladies and gentlemen, because the common person is at the height of suffering. All of you have noted borders being blocked from the city and blocked from business. All of you have seen with pain our brothers and sisters, the common people, the hawkers, being, carried away and humiliated by the military because they believe the city has to belong to the few, the rich and the mighty. While the regime is spewing propaganda, all of you know that there's a crisis in the rule of law. You noticed a soldier shooting a police officer. The media has not talked about that. All of you have seen schools burning mysteriously in Chotera and here in Kawempe. And it's on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to request us to give a moment of silence to the deceased. May their souls rest in eternal peace. So it is those things that the regime is trying to divert us from, and that is why they are pushing propaganda everywhere. I didn't intend to talk about that nonsense. I didn't intend to talk about the lies that are being presented on what is supposed to be the national newspaper. What a shame. All of you saw Museveni rewarding his former chief propagandist and making him head of New Vision. So if you get surprised by what the New Vision is doing now, then you surprise me. What did you expect? The New Vision is now the new tabloid in town. Unfortunately, it has then descended even far deeper than the levels of a tabloid. It's a shame, but that's a country that we're dealing with. So if you see Museveni and his regime trying to push all manner of propaganda, then you know that they're trying to cover up something. Do not fall victim to that. Do not be diverted. Our focus is removing Museveni and his hunger zone, and we shall not stop until we remove him. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to talk about the continued detention and abduction of our comrades. Just yesterday, our brother Kassim Migade was released from Chitalia after 1 year. Kassim Migade is a young man you saw on video back in 2018 being beaten by the police on a police station. Fortunately, not all police officers are evil. One of them filmed it and it went viral. They approached him and apologized to him, but I believe they were only, making an effort to mark him, because only a short while later, he was once again abducted, tortured at CMI, and later on dumped at Chitalia, where he spent a full year. I'm not sure if we have Kassim Migade here, but we welcome you back, my brother. As we speak, our leaders, members of parliament, Honorable Sejirinya and Honorable Sewanyana are still in prison, denied bail for reasons best known to the dictator. As we speak right now, abductions are continuing. Our people are being abducted, tortured, some being killed. We only talk about those that we know, but many Ugandans are going through the same horror. We condemn it, but I'm telling you, we are only speaking, but there will come those who are not speaking with the mouth, but speaking much more firmer than we do. It is sad, ladies and gentlemen, that I have to mention that the regime has also gone far to co-opt some of the people we call forces of change. It is very, very disheartening to see those, many of them who inspired us to rise to the occasion and fight the dictatorship. But now they are justifying all the injustice and blaming us for being victims. I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, from whatever formations you come from, that you also are not safe. Nobody is safe until everybody is safe. Museveni is not your friend. We are not enemies. Uganda has one enemy, and that's Museveni and his bootlickers. And until we come together, we shall continue being seen as grasshoppers fighting in a bottle, but at the end of the day, fried and eaten together. The people of Uganda are watching you. The people of Uganda are watching us. And we took this from you, and we continued to tell them that anybody whose words and actions are helping to speed up the fall of the dictator is a friend to Ugandans. And anybody, no matter which party they come from, no matter which religion or tribe they come from, no matter who they are, for as long as their words and actions are helping the dictator to oppress us further, that person is an enemy to Uganda and to Ugandans. So remember that. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we shall not be diverted, we shall not be derailed, we shall do everything that we can, every moral thing, every legal thing that we can to make sure that we disempower Museveni and his regime and finally make him fall. So it's on that note that I also want to inform you that today at 2 p.m. I will be speaking to the Human Rights Committee of the Italian Parliament, because Italy is one of the countries that General Museveni has hoodwinked, who want to cut all his, life support, all the life support of this of his dictatorship, so that at the end of the day, the whole world will stop dealing with Museveni, because dealing with Museveni means being a partner in crime, being a partner in the genocide that is being caused on the people of Uganda, being a partner in the oppression of Ugandans, and that is against universal standards of human rights. I thank you. Utikankobe mulusoga. Anaye kanjogere Uganda ne bebatisa nnyo. Basebo ne banyabo. Nkikiridwa nnyo n'ebigambo ebyogeddwa abakulembeze bannange. Okusookera ddala njagala ogatta eddoboozi lyange ku kuvumirira ebikolwa bya Mwami Museveni ne basajja be ebyokupromotinga oba okugezaako okusiga ensigo ey'obusosoze mu mawanga. Tukimanyi nti Museveni musosoze mu mawanga. Ekyo tukimanyi. Asiga obutakwatagana mu bannayuganda kubanga tabeetaaga. Kiri ku likodi nti ekya Museveni okubeera munnayuganda akitamaatama naye. Kale nno wakati ye mu kusiga ensigo ey'obusosoze mu mawanga twongera omusekera kuba tuli bannayuganda ffenna. Nze olwaleero njagala okwogera nammwe ng'omusoga, njagala okwogera nammwe nga Ngobi, njagala okwogera nammwe ng'omwana w'eruuka, ng'omugwananfunta, omwana w'omuzaana kyabazingafu nvuwe. Era olunaku olulala ndwe n'abanjogera nammwe ng'omunyolo, n'abanyonnyola lwaki empaako yange yalaali, oba lwe n'abanjogera nammwe ng'omulugwala lwe ndibanyonnyola lwaki bampita obini. Basebo ne bannyabo, ffenno tuzaalawa enkola eyo, kuba enkola eyo nkadde. Enkola eyo ya Museveni, baagikoowa nga bwe baakoowa Museveni. Ebadde enkola ya Museveni nga buli waaba talina kyagamba bantu kumuwagira, bw'aba alemeddwa okukozesa okubatulugunya, asiga kwawukana yawukana. Yensonga lwaki ye baagufuula mulimu nti ye n'abo abamwogerera kye basinga okutambuza bwe busosoze mu mawanga. Era kya buswavu nnyo nti Museveni agamba nti abe NUP bonna Baganda. Mwana wattu nga bwe kiri wano, ng'abantu bano bwe basembeza Museveni, era ne batamusosola yenkola yaabwe era tuli basanyufu nnyo tinnabakulembeze bannaffe nga bwe nagenda eyo gye basibuka ne bampa amannya ne bampa n'ebika ne bampa n'omukisa mwana wattu ne wano tuli basanyu nnyo okubategeeza nti deputy president waffe w'amambuka ga Uganda ye Nankya. Tuli basanyufu okubategeeza nti ne secretary general waffe yeddira Mamba ye Nsubuga. Ate ffe tulina n'akabadi akalala kuba deputy president wa Western Uganda ye Nsubuga ow'ente. Kale nno tujagenda maaso nga tusekerera mwami Museveni olw'enkola ye kubanga ebyo abireesereeti singa abadde abigamba bannayuganda ab'emyaka gy'ensanvu oba enkaaga bandimuwuliriza n'ekyamulya kubanga yatusanga ffe tuli wamu yatusanga twagalana yatusanga twegatta dda mumutegeze n'omutegeza nti omukyala afumbe wange muganda ye Namakula. Ekyo nga tukivuddeko basebo ne bannyabo njagala obategeeza nti ebyo byonna byonna ebitambuzibwa byogerwa okugezaako okubajja ku mulamwa ogezaako okubajja ku nsonga enkulu naye ng'eggwanga lyaffe eriri mu matigga eggwanga lyaffe eriri mu katu ng'essaawa ya leero twogerera emiwendo gy'amafuta gyekanamye okusinga buli omu bwe yali atebereza. Emmotoka tezikyatambula transpoti ow'abantu n'ebyamaguzi yeeyongedde. Lwaki? Olw'enfugabbi olw'enkulembera enfu kubanga ye n'abo bamwetoolodde balina okukola ssente mu buli kimu. Abatambulako nga muyita ku airport y'Entebbe mumanyi bulungi nti buli ayingira eggwanga oba okufuluma bakebera naye ebiseera ebisinga ne results ne batazikuwa kasita bakuggyako ssente. Ye Museveni yasalawo eggwanga difuula kyamaguzi dikamulamu buli ssente zasobola dikamulamu. Olwaleero eggwanga lyaffe eri mu matigga basebo ne bannyabo kubanga abaana bali mu kuddayo ku masomero naye n'abazadde tebasobola yadde okukuŋŋaanya ssente z'abaana ku masomero kuba badde tebakola kumala emyaka 2. Ekyennaku nti ate amasomero agasinga naddala ago agaabwe gayongeza ebisale by'abaana okusoma. Tuli matigga kuba abantu ba bulijjo abatembeyi bali mu kugobwa ku nguudo nga tebabawadde alternative tebawadde kyakuddamu. Twakyogerako era tukyogerako nti ekibuga nga kinaakola kina okula nga mulimu ki n'abantu naye kubanga baagala ekibuga kifuula ky'abantu abo ab'olubatu bali mukola enkola eyo. Tuli matigga basebo ne bannyabo kubanga n'abatambuza abantu ba bulijjo abeekolera emirimu gyabwe nabo banyigirizibwa. Mulaba kye bakoze bodaboda era kye bali mu kwongera ozikola. Batambuza oyo propaganda kubanga tebalina kyakunnyonnyola ku basirikale bagenda bakozesa bubi mundu. Mwalabye omusirikale yakubye owa traffic esasi ekyo tebasobola kyogerako. Tebasobola kwogera ku masomero gali mu kujja nga tewali kunnyonnyola. Ekyo no kikunnyonnyola lwaki amawulire eryandibadde eggulira eggwanga ekkulu erya New Vision kati olunaku lwaleero lyerikozesebwa ate okutambuza obulimba. N'ekyo bw'okyewuunya gwe gwe mba neewuunya kuba mwenna mumanyi omwami eyali propagandist wa Museveni secretary general ono muzivunira ekigambo propagandist omukubi mumulabye Nsubuga omukubi wa pokopoko wa Museveni omukulu mugeto gwe tuyita palapase wa Museveni omukulu. Bweri nkola ya Museveni nti buli amukolera ekimuyamba omukumira mu buyinza amutonera eddimu eddene gwe bakwasa New Vision. So bwe mwewuunya New Vision okozesebwa nga tabloid ate nange mba mbeewuunya basebo ne bannyabo. So eryo eggwanga lye tulimu baganda bange sijja kutwala budde kwogera ku bya bulimba bebagezaako okuteeka ku NUP kubanga nga Ssekamwa waffe bwagambye nti ddala omuti ogulina ebibala gwe gufa enkonyogo. Tujja kumira enkonyogo za mwami Museveni paka naffe we tuna kasuka eyaffe naye ajja giwulira inshallah. sijja kuva waggulu baganda bange nga soogedde ku bannaffe abavundira mu makomera ne bannaffe abagenda mu maaso n'okuwambibwa awatali musango mu ngeri emenya amateeka. Olunaku lwajjo omu ku bannaffe gwe bayita Kasimu Migadde yayimbuddwa okuva ekitalya. Kasimu Migadde ye mulenzi abamu gwe mwalaba mu 2018 nga bamukuba abapoliisi nga bamukubira ku police station nga bamulanga okubeera owa people power. Kasimu Migadde oyo yagenda mu kooti n'abaloopa. Abamu bajja ne bamwegayirira naye mu kumwegayirira balinga abaali bamupima bamanye byakasiba kubanga era oluvannyuma lwa byonna bamulondola ne bamuwamba ne bamubuzaawo ne bamutulugunya bubi nnyo naye bweri nkola yaabwe ne bamutwala mu kooti y'amagye ne bamutwala ekitalya. Kasimu Migadde yayimbuddwa olunaku lw'eggulu oluvannyuma lw'okumala omwaka mulamba ekitalya nga talina musango. Wabula bannaffe ebikumi n'ebikumi bangi bakyavundira mu makomera okwetoola eggwanga lyonna. Twogera ku abo be tumanyi naye nga bangi nnyo be tutamanyi be tugenda amaaso nga tutegeera obutegeezi be bali makomera ago basebo ne bannyabo. Mu mbeera y'emu abaka baffe aba Parliament Honorable Ssegirinya ne Ssewanyana bali mu komera awatali musango. Gavumenti eremeddwa okuleeta obukakafu bwonna naye ate baagana n'obeeyimirira nga amateeka bwe gagamba. Naye Museveni bw'atyo bw'akola agezaako tumala mu maanyi agezaako batiisatiisa. Kyensobola obbagamba baganda bange nti mbeere bagumu temuggwamu maanyi ono Nakyemalira ayidde era essaawa yonna agenda kuvaako. Njagala okwogera ku nsonga gye ndowooza nti nkulu nnyo, ensonga y'abannaffe. Bangi ku bo be twalabirako, bangi ku bo be baatusookayo mu kaweefube ono w'okulwanyisa Nakyemalira, naye nga ku kiseera kino bafaanana ate nga emmundu zaabwe mu kifo kyo zitunuliza Nakyemalira bazitunuliza bannaabwe. Ekyo no kyenyamiza kibanga ekigamba nti omulabe waabwe katakyali Nakyemalira naye mulabe waabwe ate ye NUP. Njagala obbategeeza abaganda bange nti abasibe okulwanira mu kkomera liba bbula ly'amagezi ng'omugenzi Basudde bwe yagamba. Omulabe wa Uganda ali omu. Omulabe wa Uganda ye Museveni n'obwa Nakyemalira bwe. Era ffenna tulina kubeera nga tulwanagana na Nakyemalira bwe tubanga ddala bye twogera bye tutegeeza. Bannayuganda batwegesa obwanga, batunuulidde era batulabira ku bikolwa byaffe. Mu maaso mwatusooka okwogera bwe tuti era naffe tukyogedde era tukikkaatiriza kuba twagala ffenna kibeere nga kye kimu nga kitukwatako nti omuntu yenna ng'ebigambo bye oba ebikolwa bye byanguya okuvaako kwa Nakyemalira Museveni, oyo munnaffe, oyo munnammwe Bannayuganda. Naye omuntu yenna ng'ebigambo bwe oba ebikolwa bye nga biyamba Nakyemalira Museveni okusigala nga tulugunya Bannayuganda, okusigala nga tufuga, gwe oli mulabe wa Uganda, oli mulabe wa Bannayuganda. Kati mwe Bannayuganda mututunulire butunulizi mu bikolwa byaffe n'ebigambo byaffe, mutusengejje, musirike. In fact musirika, mukole kye mulina okukola. Njagala kuva waggulu nga mbategeeza abaganda baffe tiffe tetulekerangaawo era tetugenda kulekeraawo kulwanyisa Nakyemalira mu buli ngeri yonna, ku buli front yonna gye tufuna. Tumanyi nti Museveni ekimuyambye okutufuddubalako ze ssente ze yoola mu mannya gaffe, mu mannya g'abaana baffe, ne zibbibwa abantu be oba ne zikozesebwa okutunyigiriza n'okututta, ate ng'oluvannyuma lwa byonna ffe n'abaana baffe n'abazzukulu ffe tugenda ozisasula. So mu mbeera y'emu olunaku lwa leero ku ssaawa 8 ngenda kuba nga njogerako n'akakiiko k'eddembe ly'obuntu aka Palamenti y'e Italy, era byonna mbibagambe nga bwe biri. Museveni tumulabise nga bwe kisoboka, ng'ekigendererwa twagala amawanga ago galekeraawo okolagana ne Museveni, era agakolagana ne Museveni gakyogererwatu nti nabo Bannakyemalira, nti nabo ba partner in crime, banne ba Museveni mu kunyigiriza Bannayuganda n'okubatta. Mwebale nnyo basebo, mwebalire ddala. Ndowooza mu Luganda nayogeddeko ku nsonga y'ebbeeyi y'amafuta n'ebirala byonna byonna. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. Mukama abampeera omukisa.
We'll take maybe 2 to 3 questions, if any, from the media. Okay. Mkulu asomeseza bulungi. It is well tetubakaka. So, iki kati wakachijukira kale kibuzi.
Thank you very much. My name is William Sebuliba. Yes, sir. I just wanted to explain exactly what the conservative tour is going to be about. Because you talked of looking into the amendments that you may want as a party. Just to cast more light on those amendments that you may want, both in English and Uganda.
Okay, yes, Derek. Yes, Simon, from the notorious New Vision. I hope you're not going to spew more propaganda. Okay, ask your question, Simon. Be louder than that. When you guys are spreading propaganda, you shout a lot. Yeah? Come to the front and speak loudly.
What does the party constitution say about internal party elections? And why has the party constitution been why has it been taken out of like without public?
Okay, any other? All right, maybe before the LOP comes, I will, as a spokesperson, talk about Simon's question. So one, you're asking about party internal elections. Maybe you hadn't joined the media yet. You must have still been in school, because you told me you did a certificate in journalism. Maybe at that time you were still at school. However, when we were unveiling NUP, we told you and the country that we held a delegates conference where our president was elected and the other leaders, including myself. Now you know. You probably were not around at the time. So our party constitution provides for those elections. No one appointed him party president. He was elected by the delegates who were in place at the time. And when the time reaches, he and whoever else is interested in being party president will subject themselves to a vote by the delegates conference. So I think that is very clear. Because you're saying that there's something else about yes, our party constitution that has not been given out, we shall probably bring to you a copy at New Vision. It is in fair English, which you can understand. A party constitution is available. We shall help you with a copy. You have said that our president mentioned mentors who have become, I don't know what. Again, you're jumping onto something out of excitement. The clarion call by our president was for everybody that is interested in change in our country to work towards that. And he said very clearly, Museveni is not your friend, those of you who think that now he's a good man. And our president made it very clear to say, we are not enemies for those of us that are interested in change, so let's work together. I think that was explicitly clear. Kambikuda mu Uganda? Kambikuwe? Simon, owa New Vision, eyafuuka chief propagandist ya Museveni nga president bwagambye kubanga chief propagandist yali akola mu office ya Mwai Museveni nasalo naga kakati katugaziye propaganda wo kankuwe ekitongole kiramba ekya New Vision obuziza ku nsonga y'okulonda mu kibiina kyaffe era nenkutegeeza kutwayanjulira ekibiina kyaffe kubanga mu kaseera ako wali okyasoma mawulire tewaliiwo wano wali okyasoma certificate y'omu mawulire so tewaliiwo sikunenya naye kankutegeeze kuba abaaliwo twabategeeza ne tutegeeza n'eggwanga nti twabeera ne delegates conference eyalonda president waffe n'abakulembeze abalala nga mwotadde nange kamwa koogera era abeegwanyiza ebifo byonna ebyenjawulo ebirala okubira ddala ku kya president delegates conference yaffe eddako bajja kweyanjula bagambe nti neegwanyiza ekifo kino balondebwe delegates conference oba nedda semateeka yaffe weeri gye tutambulirako era bwe muba mwagala kopi nga New Vision tujja gibaleetera eri mu luzungu naye kansubiremu naalusoma ne mulutegeera ate ne mutateekateekamu byammwe semateeka kino kyegammwe ne muyingizaamu ebyammwe wakati mulinga abaagala okuguka ku nsonga eyo ensonga endala president gyayogeddeko ey'abannaffe bannankyukakyuka bannaffe president akikkaatiriza nti Mwai Museveni si mukwano gwaffe neffe at least tulina ekitugatta abaagala enkyukakyuka oba oli wa NUP oba oli wa bibiina ebirala byegwanyiza enkyukakyuka ekitugatta kyo kinene nnyo okulaba nti twagala nkyukakyuka tugezeeko okulaba nti tulwanirira ekyo tetuli balabe nti kakati NUP mulabe wa kibiina kino oba ekibiina kirabe kya kino Mwai Museveni agezaako bisiga ebyo ayagala atwawulemu tube nga ye ensonga enkulu enafuyiza eggwanga lyaffe tetumusaako ssira so kyetugamba nti tulabe nga emundu political mundu n'ebirala tuzitunuulize Mwai Museveni tetubeera nga nseenene example gyakozesezza ezibeera mu ccupa ne zeerumaaluma ate olumala zonna ne zisiikibwa ne bazirya wamu y'ensonga eyo. Let me invite the Lord to shed light on the issues that were put to him.
Thank you, Ms. Honorable Senyonyi. My brother from CBS, all I can say is that we shall make our program known to all and sundry. And once we set off to go, we shall brief the country. The breadth of those programs, so you better keep your appetite on IC. We shall get there. It's not yet time to really roll out the entire spectrum of our program. My brother asking about what would NUP do in the alternative. Of course, NUP wouldn't be as naive in the first place. If we were the ones in government, we would inevitably have planned for this inevitability in the face of the region. But also, which serious government anywhere worth its name lacks petroleum reserves. You know, just like my president said, in the first place, they never built them. But even filling them, really, assuming filling them is a ritual, they could not even make that ritual happen. We would, as a matter of principle and security, have reserves in every region of the country. Simple, really, common sense. You need reserves in every region. Not in Jinja. Every region would have reserves. That's what serious governments do. Secondly, we would have alternative routes for transporting petroleum. How dare you have a single route under a serious government? So we would have alternatives to transport petroleum. You don't need a PhD in common sense to know that that is what you need to do and plan. But in the interim, we are demanding for immediate action from government. Namely, all manner of bureaucratic testing must cease so that they deliver. Let them deliver, and if you want, quarantine them after delivering petroleum. Otherwise, there's no reason why you do plunge the entire country in a crisis. It's the highest level of negligence, actually criminal negligence by the regime. Murinyolo. Ababuuza ku programu ya president ey'okutambula mu ggwanga mu kwebuuza ku bantu ku nsonga ez'enjawulo bw'eneeba egenda kutandika tujja kubayita wano ku kitebe tubategeeze ebinaabeeramu ne president gy'anaatandikira. Ekyo nsaba tukigumiikirize kijja kubeerawo kubanga tagenda kutambula mu kyama, ajja kutambula ng'ensi yonna eraba era mmanyi mujja kumuwerekerako okusobola okuwulira amaloboozi g'abantu. Ensonga ya NUP yandikoze ki? NUP ejjagenda mu mwezi eri gyakikola. Ekisooka, NUP ng'oggyeko okujjuza ekyagi ky'amafuta ekiri e Jinja ejja kigaziya naye buli kitundu kya ggwanga eteekeyo ekyagi ky'amafuta ofaanako n'ebyagi ebirala ng'eby'emmere. Ng'oggyeko obusimagivu olema otya okujjuza obujjuza amafuta mu byagi ebiriwo nga byereere n'oteeka eggwanga mu katuubagiro nga si gwe wabizimba n'okubizimba. Buli kitundu kya ggwanga tujja kussaayo reserve y'amafuta ate nga mwegali, so si pipa akulegamamu mazzi oba nakukuŋŋaanya suulwe ku makya n'olweggulo. Ekyo ye pulaani yaffe ate pulaani nambulukufu. Ekyokukola teweetaaga magezi ga njawulo kumala kugenda ku mwezi kumanya nti weetaaga n'amakubo ag'enjawulo agatambuza amafuta. Okulembera otya ggwanga emyaka 4 ng'okyayita mulimu nga lya musungu olina ky'ogamba abantu. Oba olina ky'otugamba? Mwebale nnyo.
Thank you, Lop. We have pretty much come to the end of our press conference. But as we do, the Honorable Betty Namboze led a team from Mukono. They belonged to a certain political party, but they are saying, no, we feel that our aspirations and desires are upheld by NUP. So let me invite her to come with the team so that the president receives them officially. Tunamaliza wano nja kusaba otutambuliremu ng'Omuganda kubanga oli musajja Muganda ddala. Thank you, David Lewis Rubongoya. Let me invite, I guess, another Muganda. You know, the people who don't think critically, and then there are those who don't think at all. Really, that all these people here are Baganda. Okay, Madam Jolie Mujisha, another Muganda from Western Uganda, please come and address us.
Banange okuva leero kati mubeere nga mumpita Nansubuga, nze neddira ente neddira ngombe. Nedira Ngombe, people power, people power, people power, NUP. Banange njagala kusooka kutwala mu gisa guno kwogerako mu Luganda, then I can put in English at the end. I'm trying to show the world that we are all Baganda after all. We are all Bantus. We migrated from Cameroon. Our ancestors came from Cameroon and settled in Uganda. Others went as far as South Africa. So we are all Baganda. It's only the colonialists who came and separated us. N'olwekyo okuva leero nze nansubuga ate needira ente kaakati banange. I've come here for just two reasons. One, to confirm that NUP is not tribal, is not tribalistic, because I am a Muganda from Ankole. I was born in and raised in Ankole, and I even live in Ankole today. Therefore, what I am doing with my members in Western Uganda is not for Baganda only, but for the people of Uganda who live in Western Uganda. As far as Soro and Chiryandongo, you can see how wide the area is. So that propaganda that moves around, that NUP is for Baganda, is just rubbish. That's all I can say. It's just trash. It is rubbish. I want the people of Uganda to know that what hurts a Muganda in Kampala hurts the people in Kasese. The SG has talked about my supporters because I govern that area. My young men in Kasese have suffered. Now, this is, I don't know how many, this is the third, fourth lot of them being arrested and detained. Every other week, they arrest one. If you have been following the news since you are pressmen, you see there are a lot of killings in Kasese, beginning from the time when the kingdom was attacked and people were massacred. People are dying left and right in Kasese. But those are members of NUP. Some are even our supporters. They give us the kind of support we need. So I've come here to say that NUP is not only in Uganda, but as far as Soro. Then two, I have come to condemn, to add my voice, to condemn on those arrests and to condemn what is happening in schools. You have seen schools burning left and right. I have come from Barara this morning. But if you go around the villages, many people have even not taken their children back to school because of the prices of fuel, because of, they cannot even be able to raise the money. So those two things I just wanted to mention, and probably to add that the people of Western Uganda, like anywhere else across the country, are coming even much more. They are joining NUP, and we are growing stronger. Very, very strong. We are growing stronger. And if you check our registers today, you'll find that from the time when our victory was robbed from us, we have registered more than 5,000 people, okay? Even in each district. Now, if you add, those are thousands and thousands of people. So people of Uganda, come and join us. The only remedy is with NUP. From what is happening around, even our brothers in FDC, they have lost it. All they do these days is talk about us. So Ugandans, please come and join us in NUP. We are a very, very strong party, and I want to assure you, sooner or later, we shall be in Entebbe or Muntebbe. Thank you very much. God bless you. I speak Runyankore. I thought I should speak Luganda. Kakati omuri Nyankore. Nyine bintu bibiri by'okugambaho. Ekyokubanza n'okugira ngu NUP, National Unity Platform Party, ti party y'Abaganda bonka. Ti y'Abaganda bonka kandi tekukorra Buganda yonka. Nekorra ihanga lyona ahabw'okuba ekizibu ekyokuruma omuntu wankore owambarara na n'owakiruhuura where the old man comes from. Nekyokuruma owakiruhuura nikyo kikuruma na n'owiganga, n'owa Buganda, n'owa Rira na n'owa West Nile. nabwo ekyo n'okuhashwaringa abanya-Uganda kugira ngu ekibiina kya NUP nk'ekibiina ekyebembiire bw'obutegyeki omu Uganda omu Western Region kiriyo kandi kiine amaani kandi nikyeyongyera ahabw'okuba kwiha nibaruga kutwibira obururu abantu bingi nibija kwehandikisa nambwe ni registers ziitu zijwire. Today I am going with many new more registers to register many other people. So mbwenu abantu bariyo mureke kutiina kugira ngu ninga kubeiha abantu kugira ngu NUP neya Buganda yonka. Ekyakabiri nanyenda kwongera iraka ryanje aha rya Secretary General kugira ngu abantu bitu bomu Western Uganda like elsewhere really they are being arrested. Nibabakwata babakoma batine mushango bagambaho timu ya Masereka ya Brian ekamaresa andibiri ataba Masereka. They are now also 2 weeks. We don't know where they are. Bina bakazi bina bana, the children who have to go back to school konka government babikire hata bana babo tubari mu ishomero. So nanyenda kwongera iraka ryanje hakucenera kimwe na sekucena omuri Nyankore kugira ngu government ereke kutwarasinga ereke kutubonabonesa kwera abeta kwenda by'obutegeki kandi bo bariho mwene bagire ngu twabihiraho kimwe rero baze mubeyanjare. But we know that one day this God whom we trust is going to take us to Entebbe, in Entebbe ahabw'okuba nitwe twasingira karuru. Mwebare munonga. God bless you.
Mwebale munonga Madam Nansubuga. Nansubuga eddire ente. Mujja kutya. Okay, let me go all the way to Northern Uganda, which is also in Buganda, and invite Madam Zedriga Nanja.
People power, our power, people power, NUP, everywhere. And everywhere. NUP. Thank you so much. The de facto and de jure president of the Republic of Uganda here present. The honorable members of parliament, the right honorable leader of the option. Leader of the option in the transition. Honorable members of NUP, especially our leaders from Busoga. I saw them present here in solidarity and media fraternity. Amanya gange bampita nancha. Nedira mamba. Omuzukulu wa Gabunga okuva oboloko foko nze ntambula nga Omuganda by right in the interest of time. I bring you greetings from Karamoja to West Nile. Yesterday the women of H.E were demonstrating. Why were they demonstrating? Because they were demonstrating and it was disrupted by military women from Karamoja. And that's why I am donning this identity in solidarity. Continue to demand to be human because in 1931, one Robert Bosch stated, "Never forget your humanity and respect human dignity in your dealings with yourself and with others." The unrest we see, we have reached rock bottom of dehumanization. And I think enough is enough. Enough is enough. The women of H.E please continue to demand for your safety and security, for the space for your children and the youth, because you are equal by right to be Ugandans. There was a demonstration in Lira over the deplorable condition of the road from Kwanakamdin to Lira. You dance like you have joke. Joke is evil spirit, and yet you are moving. I don't know. Anyway, there was a demonstration, and please let's scale that up because the Constitution guarantees our right. It's not a favor that we are doing. It's a right. And we associate with the honorable member who right now is still in military or police custody. He needs to be released immediately. West Nile, Acholi sub-region, many of you would like to have football or some gatherings, but you are so constrained. However, let's continue. Let's continue to organize by right. My second communication, I condemn the arrests. We had gone to visit our comrades in Chitalia. Yes, that's another Muganda from the east. Yes, we had gone in solidarity. Accessing places of incarceration are really, it is almost like going through the eye of a needle. We were in Chitalia with the Secretary General and another delegate who had come all the way from Germany to give an award to Kakwenza. All other people were allowed to see their people. However, for us, they started asking for a vaccination card. Then those who didn't have the vaccination, who had the vaccination card, they were asking for PCR test result. One of us had it. Then they said, no, we don't want a soft copy. Go and bring us a printed copy. That is how the militarized dictatorship has gone to trample on our rights. But we do not give up. Finally, our online civic education, because we are so creative, our president rightfully told us, showed us the way, took us to the well. So we want to drink water. We have our civic education every Saturday. And I was giving a talk on human rights, reclaiming our identity, dignity, and voice. Equal by right, visibility, voice, and action. Lo and behold, just 5 minutes into my presentation, this online training was hacked. The junta, without shame, posted nude, in fact, it was pornography at its most. And they thought that, yes, that is how desperate they have gone. They do not want us to know anything, to share any information. But I want to end by saying we will remain resilient. We are equal by right. We are a generation unstoppable. We have a president and a team that continues to inspire not only us, but the world over. And we are saying our stolen victory, we are reclaiming it. We are reclaiming it by right, and nobody will stop us, not even the propaganda, because there's that propaganda, we have already got the medicine. People no longer believe it. We are not even here to explain ourselves, but we are here to say, yes, Entebbe, here we come. And this will not only be by the people you see here, the whole country, the whole of northern Uganda. The calls I get, Lina, please, ite dawa, ite amanida, awadifu eminangiri, ani andromalu, yolu baratisi, anira emiba azidiru eminga matirira, our power. Ani lebazi mole amako kini o nupulu Buganda pivele ngoni deniko amabele nupuru amai arua da amabele nambendrendara yumbea kobokwa pere moywa pere karamoja alakara noi asokipo ko orikoko oritia awadifo webale nyo webale redala. Asante sana.
Thank you, Comrade Nancha. You taught us a word sometime, ochokokoko. What does it mean again? Agasi. Agasi ochokokoko. Uganda ochokokoko. That means Uganda what? Hey. That's the Uganda we want. Uganda ochokokoko. All right, we've been joined by another Muganda, all the way from Eastern Uganda. He is also he whips us in Parliament, the Honorable John Baptist Nambeshe. Honorable, before you came, each of us has been given, everybody has been given a Chiganda name, those of you that don't have, because there are people who have said, all of you are Waganda. So you will have to find yourself a Chiganda name to confirm those who are saying so. But let me invite you, Honorable Nambeshe, to talk to us briefly as well. Oh yes. Chiveru, eh?
Your Excellency and all the NUP leaders in your respective capacities, media practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, I come to join colleagues to condemn in the strongest terms possible the NRM propaganda. NRM is at it again. You know, the powers that be at one time vowed to finish opposition by 2020. They have failed because the advent of NUP leading parliament has made it very difficult for the oppressor to finish opposition. Even with the current surreptitious invisible hand that is bringing up schemes, all craft actions to divide opposition, making all manner of baseless and unfounded allegations. And no wonder they were carried on the front page of the government paper. This cannot nip our leadership in the bud, because you know very well that the whipping system, which have championed in the 11th parliament on opposition side of the political divide, has been able to ensure regular attendance by all members. Members have been religiously participating in proceedings of the House, and even whenever there are controversial issues. Now, for instance, they have come up with the change of the political system from presidential to parliamentary system. We are prepared to the teeth to ensure that we put up a spirited fight to stop it before it matures. It is still in its infant stages. And they know the capacity that we have. And that's why they are coming up with all manner of baseless allegations to divide opposition. Pertaining to arrests, I know, you may think it is only in central Uganda. Even Eastern, we are still having mysterious disappearances. Like in Mbale, it is recorded so far, 2 disappeared. Last year, that is late last year, around November, December. Busia, those who disappeared up to now, their whereabouts are not yet known. Now here comes allegation is to paint National Unity Platform as a tribal outfit. Am I a Muganda? Honestly speaking, if one would allege that National Unity Platform is only full of Waganda, is Nambeshe John Baptist a Muganda? Far from it. We have my deputy, for instance, is not a Muganda. I know of a president, and may his soul rest in eternal peace, the late Idi Amin Dada. He constructed fuel reserves in Jinja. This government of NRM has been in power for now close to 37 years. It's going to make 40 years. They have not even made any efforts to add one fuel reserve. The current crisis of fuel. When a committee visited Jinja, that is late last year, in December, the fuel reserves which were constructed way back in the 70s were empty. Now the crisis, which should have been regulated by those reserves, is now fear. And now they bring up a propaganda to divert the populace, the Wananchi, who are now suffering through this oil crisis, because it has a ripple effect on all sectors of the economy. The mandatory testing had to fail because of the intervention of the member states of East Africa. If it were not Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and the other member states, the mandatory testing is also responsible for the crisis that we are having now. And this was only in Uganda. We thank that intervention that has testing. So far, so good. But as we talk, the skyrocketing prices of fuel are blamed on the poor policies of this government of NRM, the corruption, because even the testing was all born of corruption, because most of the money that is being reaped left, right, and center on the Wananchi disappears into their pockets. We thank the intervention of the member states. We know the crisis is still on. Our role as opposition in the 11th Parliament, we are already prepared through the relevant shadow minister to present a statement which will help to stir the murky waters of this crisis, so that in the face of this very government, I thank you, and may God abundantly bless you.
Thank you, Chiberu. Sebo, ebigambo tubyogedde mu lulimi lw'olupya Oluganda. Jangu tuwulire Lumasaba and brief Luganda as well.
Ntandike n'Olumasaba. Bamasaba mwasisi muli mumanye muri gavumenti ino ya NRM abe ya layira hubone liruanisa ipate ili ni namba tsingali mu parliament ya National Unity Platform NUP ne ya lemelela hubone liruanise huruso era nefe burambi bwefe bwaho bubita bwachendele bulayi ne isukanishira hano yesi bakukwarisire bari bakukwarisiri yafuli embusi bahulise ingwe nga bambasa bari banahuroho byehuhwayilisa bihali bitwera bakana babone bari party ya National Unity Platform yahuba ni kamani karangirira mu lushiho ruhuru nebyo byalemelele eleso kanishira ukana i presses huli meno obalu ruhungano lweso huli muruno lubasomesa luli kushili umundu mutwera era huli atwera shitole bawo nyala wahwauhanisa wahusalanisa mu Luganda. Abo abaye ni NRM abaloza ndi baja kutwambaza oba batwambaze eddiba ly'embuzi kutilize ngo nga balese okutuwayiriza ebitali bimu ng'ekigendererwa kya kutwawukanya ebyo byonna tubilinyeemu era tebaja kutuukiriza mission yaabwe. era na bino ebigenda mu maaso byowulira eby'amafuta abeeyi okulinya obinenyeza gavumenti yennyini ya NRM olw'okuba mu kifo ky'okubeera ndeebeera n'amafuta wano mu reserves eziri ejjinja omugenzi Amin yayamba Uganda n'azimba emyaka 7 sajja teyali wanguze bano ab'enguze lwayingira mu buyinza ne bwogenda ejjinja kati tofunayo wadde ettondo ly'amafuta komiti yatuukayo nga reserves zoona nkalu ekyo kye kireese ebbeeyi okulinya era n'okusalawo babba Abannayuganda n'abantu abavuga amamotoka okuva ku seaport ya Mombasa kutuleetera amafuta wano ndi babateekeko kifuba kubakebera COVID-19 ate ng'ensi eziriraanye Uganda nga Kenya nga Tanzania tebakola ekyo. Twebaza ensi ezo ezaaze wano ku meeting eyaliwo e Malaba ne Busia, ensi y'e Rwanda, ensi y'e Tanzania n'ey'e Kenya ne balemesa Uganda okubba esente z'abantu bano abatuleetera amafuta wano truck drivers. Ekyo kyayambye kujjawo mandatory testing kati wetwogerere emmotoka ezo ezireeta amafuta zisandise okuyingira era tusuubira nti kijja kuyambako ku bbeeyi okukendeera. Ebyokukwata abantu baffe bikyeyongera. Olaba ne mu Uganda, mu Eastern Uganda, Embale ne Busia tukyalina abantu ababuzibwawo n'okutuuka ne leero tetumanyi mayitire akabagwatako eyo we bali. Kale ekyo tukivumirira nesekuvumirira yena era tusaba nti Mukama Katonda ono eyayamba Uganda ne tufuna National Unity Platform nga yekulembera Parliament ye11 ejja kubanga esinzira wano kusindika obubaka eri abo abalowooza nti bali mu buyinza obutuukiridde bamanye nti ne Gaddafi eyali ow'amaanyi ne bw'onoonya entaana ye leero tojja kugirawo. Mwebale nnyo.
Thank you, Honorable John Baptist Nambese, whom the other people think is Chiberu. I would like to invite okay, tusaliddwako abagenyi ab'enjawulo bakulembeddwa Oweekitiibwa Nambooze Bakireke, kambalinde basooke batuule.
Okay, omulabi omulungi owa Bobi Diets kankusabe osharinge tuleko kitebe kya National Unity Platform NUP press conference olunaku lwaleero ekyagenda maaso naye sharinge bambi temwerabira n'okusubscribinga YouTube channel yaffe link ngitaddewo awo omala okusubscribinga ng'ombuulira namba kumpulira enamba gy'oliko ng'ate tugenda mu maaso. Thank you so much. Ekibuusa wino Honorable Nambooze Bakireke yegasse ku press conference y'olunaku lwaleero kati sharinga. Ntuzizza musana.
Olwola Mwai Museveni atya Nambooze ayingira ekitundu n'akikyankalanya. Akyankalanyiza ddala Museveni. Bana weyogera omukyankalanyi musajja oyo. Tomukkiriza kwesiikirako kaakulya. Okay, thank you. Thank you. The team from Mukono in a while will be introducing you. Let me now invite our Deputy President from Central Region, the Honorable Matthias Nsamba.
Thank you, Honorable Joe Senyonyi. Mr. President, colleagues, Deputy Presidents, colleagues, members of Parliament, members of NUP and the media. I do not discuss tribes, especially in trying to juxtapose NUP with a man who makes his wife minister, his son commander of the armed forces, his daughter a presidential advisor. It will be an insult to the people of Uganda listening to us trying to defend ourselves against such a regime. So we should never allow ourselves to be insulted. And nobody should ever apologize for being a son or a daughter of his father. It's derogatory. It's an attempt to divert us from key issues of governance in this country. I'll speak about 3 issues, and very briefly. Initially, the air is awash with regime nations to once again tinker with the national constitution. Let me say this. Questions still linger as to whether the current constitution actually still represents the spirit of 1995. Ordinarily, a constitution is a people's consensus. A constitution is a people's agreement. The question would be, if you carried out a referendum in Uganda, would people still say that the current constitution is still the spirit of 1995? So what are we trying to amend? So okukwata empala eriko ekiraka n'ogikubamu ekiraka ekirala actually is insane. The question we are debating as citizens, and that's why initially as NUP, we said from the word go that do not waste our time with that debate because it is inconsequential. We are for a higher debate of major constitutional and electoral reforms because we know where presidents are elected using the parliamentary system, even parliament is chosen differently. How do you even think about it in a country where constituencies are created according to, people eat rats and they get constituencies? People go and they, lick Museveni's boots and they're given constituencies? Of course, we know the mutas of that kind of idea are trying to circumvent the bigger debate as to whether Mr. Museveni is still sane enough to lead the country or whether actually he has capacity to go and look for a vote countrywide. I'm afraid time is up. He can neither amend his age nor can he be able to summon more energy to traverse the country. And of course, he's aware that he lost the last election. Therefore, he's worried of another round of a terrible loss. We are sympathetic to the old man. But as a country, we are moving forward. We are going to embark, friends, on a nationwide consultative tour led by our president on a number of constitutional reforms we want to see in the country. And when the president announces the timetable for regional tours, that will be the essence. And I can tell you, because we know our president was elected by the entire country, we shall listen into the voices of the people because they actually voted us in the last election. I would like to ask of NUP members, including friends in the opposition fraternity, that the machinations about constitutional reforms of a piecemeal nature being presented is a big attempt, a vulgar attempt to circumvent the huge demands of the population. You recollect, friends in the media, that in the 9th Parliament, we presented a plethora of what we called the Citizens' Manifesto, and it was rejected in Parliament. There were so many intended amendments, and now we're being asked to consider additional piecemeal amendments, which we are not going to even think about because we believe the country in a crisis has to rethink the nature and the frame of a new people's consensus in a form of constitution. For me and others like me in NUP, we do not have a valid constitution. It's just a piece that has been torn in pieces. As Sullivan say, is a matter of national debate. That's the kind of debate we intend to lead, but not that piecemeal attempt at amendment. Secondly, the fuel crisis in the country. I think if you want to understand how exhausted and tired and irrelevant the regime has become, you look at the flimsy reasons given by the regime today about the crisis. That for the last 2 months, they could not fathom that failure of entry of fuel vehicles will cause a crisis. And because the owners of these testing centers are regime honchos, they will not listen to that. MPs have moved. Most of these testing centers are private centers. So they were more inclined about minting money from travelers than securing the country. In another jurisdiction where governments matter, today the Minister of Energy would have resigned. But because you have a junta, of course, the Minister of Energy is happy to announce piecemeal attempts to resolving the problem. Can you imagine that a country as old as 60 years has never thought about an alternative route of transporting petroleum products? That even when we have water transport, we have never thought of an alternative. My colleague, Honorable Namichi, talked about the reserves in Nigeria. The reserves run by the National Oil Company are empty. Initially, they had been privatized, and some private individuals close to the regime were using them for a song. Not that the taxpayer was benefiting. No. So we have a problem. So the government planning function is long dead. No imagination, no thinking about this crisis. So I think as a country, we have been reminded ably and in earnest that there's no government, but there's a regime purporting to be a government. Governments think. Governments have people with a sense of imagination and a sense of duty to people. So I want to invite the country to understand that General Museveni and his people have since hit a dead end. No imagination. Kenya will go to the polls in a few months. If you ask the regime, do you have a plan in the event that Kenya hits a crisis during elections of having petroleum in the country? They will tell you, you see, Kyagulanyi was putting on a beret. That's their preoccupation. Fuel is a matter of national security. How can you be a country without reserves? It's a matter of national security. So you cannot transport key services, medicines, food, and you're a government. So now our troops are in Congo for whatever reasons. Hopefully they will be home soon for lack of fuel. So I can only say, in a nutshell, that we are being reminded that the government has since gone to sleep, and we are the problem believing that there's a government properly. They are reminding us that we few people think we have a government that is a problem. We expect whoever is the minister for energy or a prime minister worth her name, if she actually exists, to come to parliament and explain to the country whether they are still living. You see, waliwo abafa naye nga batambula nakyo kisoboka. So we shall wait for her explanation. Then lastly, friends, the picture that NUP is in a crisis. I want to tell you that that crisis is running in somebody's head, not at NUP. And please, if you have that crisis in your head, please go and have a cold bath. NUP is a well-anchored party. We are a young party in existence, but not in appreciation of our obligation to the country and to our membership. And look, the NUP leadership is not a bunch of morons. No. When issues arise, we meet, discuss them, and agree on what to do about them, like any other serious entity does. That in any way does not herald a crisis in the party. And whoever is thinking about it, we wish them good luck. But I would like to invite our membership and all change-seeking forces not to be diverted. Our duty is huge. Ugandans voted the NUP in the last election. Our duty is to gather ourselves up and recollect our energies and efforts and be able to claw back on the attempt of the regime to scatter us. That's an attempt to scatter the rank and file of this younger party, and I want to invite you to reject it. I don't want to accuse the media of playing to the propaganda, but to invite the media to see through the propaganda, because we can do better. Certainly, as the LOP in Parliament, I have a team. The party gave me 57 members of Parliament. We now have extra 10 independents joining us. Sure that herald a party in this area. In the Parliament, we communicate the policy of the party on all matters that come. You probably are aware that we have issued more policy positions in the Parliament than any other group has ever been in that Parliament in 6 months. And that speaks about our party position, which we discussed, some of it anchored in our party manifesto over the last election, because we contend that we were duly elected as NUP. That remains our position. And if there is a problem in the party, we have space big enough, we have brains cool enough to discuss and find a way of remedying any contradictions in the party. Otherwise, I want to invite the membership to find whoever is propagating that campaign as an enemy of change, as an enemy of our party. The duty we have and owe to ourselves and the rest of the country is to keep pushing. And even when we find hurdles, like arrest of our members, which is a duty for us to go and fight, to remain together because we owe it to ourselves and the posterity. I thank you so much. Mu bufunze ensonga ssatu. Ensonga y'okukyusa ssemateeka nga tumumenyamenya obutundutundu eri mu ddiiro. Twagala kusaba bannayuganda ddala baagala Uganda empya. Ensonga eyo bagitwale nga yakutujja ku mulamwa, kubanga okubba akalulu kaffe tiryali bbula lya ssemateeka. Okukwata abaana baffe bakwata buli lunaku, simanyi oba bali mu kukyusa ssemateeka kye bakwata abaana baffe. Abaana baffe abavundira mu makomera kikyamaze kwetaagisa kukyusa ssemateeka okubatwala osibbula lya ssemateeka liri bakuumira mu makomera. N'olwekyo ssemateeka yakolebwa mu 95 gwe bagenda bayuzayiza ku ssaawa eno ng'alinganga akapapula ak'ebirango ku lumbe. Ffe si ensonga enkulu. Ensonga enkulu eri nti ebyo ebikolebwa kwe kwagala kwa bannayuganda. Tugamba nti nedda. Omuntu yenna ayagala okubaako kyakola mu mateeka alina kukikola ku lwa bannayuganda. Ekyo kyonna ekikolebwa okuyamba Mwami Museveni ne banne n'ab'omulubiriro lwagala okufuula obwakabaka tekigenda kuwangaala. Era bakirowoozaako bwe batyo tibaagala Uganda, baagala byakulya. Era tusaba abo abalina emmere esobola okufumbibwa amangu bafune gye bafumbira balyeko naye bakkakkane batuleke tutereeze eggwanga lino. Tutereereza ggwanga baana na bazzukulu. Oyo awulira ng'atya akalulu k'abantu abangi nako akeesonyiwe osobola okwesibawo ku LC wano wali abantu abatono naye bw'oyagala kukulembera ggwanga olina okugenda n'ofeesinga bannayuganda oba owenyera oba obeteggera genda ofeesinge bannayuganda y'ensonga enkulu n'olwekyo nsaba oyo atidde bannayuganda mumutegeeze nti ffe tujja kutya bannayuganda kusalawo okulondebwa mu bantu abatono abalondeddwa mu mankwetu eyo ensonga ebeera nkulu mu mawanga agamaze okufuna okukkaanya okugazi ku nfuga egoberera amateeka so si enfuga egoberera oluteekateeka ekyo tujja kikwatako nga NUP bw'enaabanga efuuse ensonga mu paalamenti kubanga okusalawo kwaffe twakulangirira ku nsonga eyo era mu biseera ebitali byewala pulezidenti waffe ajja tukulemberamu okuddayo mu bannayuganda abaatuwa akalulu okubaako ensonga enkulu ze tubeebuuzaako n'okubategeeza tukole bye tukola nga tubikola ku lw'abantu so si ku lwa muntu. Ensonga ey'okubiri ke katuubagiro ak'ebbeeyi y'amafuta akali mu ggwanga. Tewali nsi erina gavumenti nga tesumagira esobola kubeera mu mbeera eno. Bulijjo amafuta bwe galinnya batutegeeza nti ebbeeyi y'amafuta mu nsi yonna ekoze eki? Naye wano wokka we waalinnye ebbeeyi y'amafuta. Okufaanako okuba nti era ffe eggwanga eryesiba emyaka 2 ng'abaana tebasoma. Era ffe eggwanga lyokka eryekulemberwa abasumagivu ebbeeyi y'amafuta gy'erinnye. Ensonga tebaategeera nti ebimotoka bijja kulwa mu layini. Temwategeera mubadde luddawo. Naye tumanyi bulungi nti abasolooza ku booda bantu banywanyi ba regimu eno so babadde ku mukolo gwa kwesololeza kasente emmotoka nga tibibakwatako babireeta amafuta ga kuyamba ggwanga. Mu nsi endala abakulembera gye batasumagira amafuta kyabyakwerinda. Ebbula ly'amafuta katuubagiro mu ggwanga kaleega bica mu ggwanga. Mwami Museveni bw'abanga alina epipa ewuwe waka tujja zinona abaana baffe bagende ku masomero abantu baffe bafune emmere. Bw'atasobola kuteekawo mbeera ku nsalo na kusala amagezi malala ng'okuyisa amafuta ku mazzi. Teweetaaga PhD mu common sense kumanya nti osobola okuyisa amafuta kuleka Victoria ne gatuuka. Ekyebuuzibwa nti abateekera gavumenti eno buwa gye bali gye batemera ebisiki okusobola okuba nti tuli mu katubagiro kano. Njala kusaba bannayuganda nti Mwami Museveni ne babayambyeko okubategeeza nti ebigenda mu maaso nabo tebabitegeera. Mwe mukola ensobi y'okulowooza nti waliwo gavumenti ebalowoozaako. Naye ffe ng'abakulembeze b'abantu abaalondebwa tuwaddewo akaseera katono nnyo twetegereze ebigenda mu maaso. Bwe binaaba bigaanya okutereera tujja bawenyako gye tunaanona amafuta. Temuganda kutusukiramu atubabuulye wanaabeera amafuta tujja ganonayo. Naye katugoberere ennaku entono nnyo eziddako tujja kuba tubabuulira ekiddako. Ekisembayo ze bigambo ebitambula nti mu NUP waliyo akatuubagiro. Abansoose wano oba mukasanze ku mulyango oba mu lujja simanyi gye mukasanze. Sinnabagendako mu kaabuyonjo oba kali mu kaabuyonjo eyo simanyi. Naye eyo naye ndowooza tunenya n'abaabwereere. Naawe kuba ekifaananyi oba teogedde ku NUP oyogera ku ki? Onootunda ki? Kyenjala okugamba bamemba baffe temuwuddisibwa. Tuli kibiina, ekibiina kitomu okubeerawo naye si mu kutegeera nsonga. Tutegeera bulungi nnyo obulemu n'obuzibu obuyinza okubaawo singa NUP eyabuluzaamu. Olabye Abakama atula wansi n'atugabirako obululu obukadde 3.6 nga yagabyeko n'agamba gabiddeko. Kuba kukkiriza nti mwawangula akalulu. Tumanyi bulungi nnyo. Oyinza otya okubanga ddala ensolo eri mu lutuula n'otandika okwogera ku kizigo. Tobaako emmindi oba emmandu embi. So nja kusaba memba ba NUP naddala abakkiririza mu Uganda empya temuwisibwa abantu bagezaako okuteekawo muwaatwa na kubuzaabuza abantu baffe. Omulimu ogw'okukola munene. Ffe abali mu paalamenti ekkatala ly'amaanyi nnyo. Tulyebuulirirako okusoomoza kw'amaanyi okuliyo. Naye buli nsonga gye tuyisa mu paalamenti ebeera nsonga ya birowoozo bya NUP. Era obukulembeze bwaffe buwuliziganya ku buli mutendera. Naye tetuli ndiga nti tukubwa bukubwa ne tugoberera buli nsonga yo tutwale tugyogerako ng'abantu abakulu, abantu abategeevu, era ng'ekibiina kyonna ekyagala okukulembera eggwanga bwe kirina okukola. Bwe tutyo tutambuze emirimu gyaffe. Yenna awulira nga bwe tutambula nga bwe tutambudde kimuka emmensa emmeeme, njala mugamba nti gakyali mabaga. Tujja kutambula ffenna era tukyatambula. Ekikulu kya byonna nti bammemba ba NUP kujjukira nti mwalondebwa, ekibiina kyammwe kyalondebwa, musigale nga muli bumu nga mutambula mwenna. Njala okubeebaza okujja ate n'okutuwuliriza. Thank you so much for God and my country.
Sebo tweyanziza. Mugaye mumuwadde erinnya Kitugume. Ati abeeno bajja bawaga abali and vice versa. Tweyanzeege. Omanyi munnange omuti ogutaliiko bibala tebagukanyugira mayinja. Naye omuti oguliko emboona bagukanyugira ebiti ebifunfugu ku lw'emboona eziriko. So tekyewuunyisa nti NUP buli omu gw'ayagala okulumba. Tetutuukiridde nnyo naye kyo kikulaga nti tulina bye tukola ebiri ku mulamwa tulemere ku nsonga ezo. Bano bajja sigala nga batagalatagala mu buli ngeri yonna. Bagezeeko okujja bannayuganda ku mulamwa nga babadde atubuulira. Nsonga z'amafuta, bbeeyi y'amafuta yeekanamye. Twagala bannayuganda boogere ku ebyo kati yingiza propaganda. Tudde ku ebyo NUP nga bannayuganda ogezaako bajja ku nsonga eri. Bannaye tuggule amaaso gaffe tubeere babuufu. Si weewaawo. When he's in Western Uganda, he's referred to as Musinguzi. When he's in the East, he's referred to as Ngobi. When he's in Northern Uganda, he is referred to as Obini. When he is in Central here, he's referred to as Chagulanyi. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Webale ino baba. Bana asanga ere okufuna omukisa ondi ogogerako nimwe. Olwaleero nize Ngobi. Everywhere. NUP. Kamba kobere baba. Olwaleero ndi Ngobi. Ndi Musaada Musoga, ndi mwana weeruuka Musaada Mugwana Nfunta, mwana wa Bambeda. Kunaku olulala lwe najja nga ndi Munyoro, njaba nnyonnyola lwaki empako yange zaalaali. When I come as Luke Bara, I'll explain to you why I'm Obini. Or when I come as a Munyankole, I'll explain to you why I'm called Musinguzi. But it's important, ladies and gentlemen, much as we might be joking about the tribalism, it is a real cancer. A cancer that Museveni intends to use, just like he picked lessons from Obote. Museveni has been using tribalism from the word go. And because he has no point to make whatsoever, he has to trade the tribal narrative. It's very unfortunate that he uses the same victims to anchor his tribal narrative. Many times I watch with dismay aged men and women, those that we thought are reasonable, falling prey to that. I'll continue to encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to dismiss Museveni's tribalism with all the contempt that it deserves. We are a generation free of hate. We are a generation free of division. We are a generation free of tribal or religious sentiments. We are one. We are united by the pain that Museveni and his honchos have caused to us. And yes, we are united by the aspiration of a new Uganda, which we must achieve. And indeed, we'll go ahead and achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet today facing a nation in crisis. Our nation is in crisis, although there's every effort by those who rule over us to cover it up. And it explains the propaganda that is flying here and there. All of you, I'm confident, that have been affected by the soaring fuel prices. Transport for people and merchandise is on the rise. Prices of different things are on the rise because of the rise of the prices of fuel, and in many cases, the absence of it. I've been very well represented by the comrades that have spoken to us. Museveni did not build any reservoir, but even what he found, he either sold or destroyed or rendered useless. I'm informed that the reservoirs in Jinja can store up to 3 million liters of fuel. 30 million liters of fuel, but they're empty. And the regime is not concerned. Why? Because the higher the prices go, the more benefit and profit their bootlickers make. Because as you know, the economy is owned by the few, the powerful and mighty who are close to Museveni, either his relatives or hunger zone. That is where we are as a nation. Our nation is in crisis, ladies and gentlemen, because the common person is at the height of suffering. All of you have noted borders being blocked from the city and blocked from business. All of you have seen with pain our brothers and sisters, the common people, the hawkers, being, carried away and humiliated by the military because they believe the city has to belong to the few, the rich and the mighty. While the regime is spewing propaganda, all of you know that there's a crisis in the rule of law. You noticed a soldier shooting a police officer. The media has not talked about that. All of you have seen schools burning mysteriously in Chotera and here in Kawempe. And it's on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to request us to give a moment of silence to the deceased. May their souls rest in eternal peace. So it is those things that the regime is trying to divert us from, and that is why they are pushing propaganda everywhere. I didn't intend to talk about that nonsense. I didn't intend to talk about the lies that are being presented on what is supposed to be the national newspaper. What a shame. All of you saw Museveni rewarding his former chief propagandist and making him head of New Vision. So if you get surprised by what the New Vision is doing now, then you surprise me. What did you expect? The New Vision is now the new tabloid in town. Unfortunately, it has then descended even far deeper than the levels of a tabloid. It's a shame, but that's a country that we're dealing with. So if you see Museveni and his regime trying to push all manner of propaganda, then you know that they're trying to cover up something. Do not fall victim to that. Do not be diverted. Our focus is removing Museveni and his hunger zone, and we shall not stop until we remove him. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to talk about the continued detention and abduction of our comrades. Just yesterday, our brother Kasim Migade was released from Chitalia after 1 year. Kassim Gade is a young man you